Regrettably, I was just on the phone with President Biden, and he shared his deep disappointment at not being able to join us this afternoon. The president has been at many events, as we all know, and he just tested positive for COVID. So, of course, we understand that he needs to take the precautions that have been recommended, and he did not obviously want to put anybody at risk.
Meanwhile,
a bullet couldn't stop Trump. A virus just stopped Biden. You've got the nominees of this party getting their butts kissed. Biden's getting his butt kicked by his own party. The Democrats are coming apart. The Republicans are coming together.
And talking to a senior Democratic advisor tonight who was telling me this, he said he believes the president is being, quote, more receptive to these calls of concern.
Yes, Biden hit with the worst news possible. I don't know if you have seen this. Democrat Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer has just called Biden to tell him to drop out of the U.S. presidential race. Last week, I confronted Senator Schumer and I asked him if he still stands by his comment from the day before I confronted him about being open to dumping Biden as a Democrat nominee for president. Schumer refused to answer. The person who sent this out, before we even go into that, last Sunday he was tested positive for COVID.
Let's go over to Dana Bash, because I know, Dana, you've got some new details on the political situation that President Biden is facing in the context of this diagnosis. So, Dana, what are you learning?
There's a scramble going on right now, both in Wilmington and at the White House, but right now mostly in Wilmington, of course, where the president's campaign headquarters is, because they're trying to figure out how to salvage as much of, if they can do any of, the schedule that the president had planned. If they can do any of it remotely, if he can do anything from his home in Rehoboth. They obviously don't know the answer to that, primarily because they're not going to know how he feels. But the hope inside the campaign headquarters is that they can at least salvage some communication between the president and voters who he desperately needs to continue to connect with. I cannot underscore what David Chalian stated earlier enough, which is the feeling is, are you kidding me? This is the absolute last thing that they need, and that there is definitely a feeling that President Biden and the campaign around him just can't catch a break right now, because this was the moment, especially as this convention comes to an end tomorrow, and the focus hasn't really been totally away from President Biden, but it's been away a little bit, but the focus is going to turn even more to President Biden and what is going on with him, that they needed him to be out, to be robust, and to be campaigning. And that's not going to happen, especially given, Aaron, the fact that the clamoring from House Democrats in particular, but also other elected officials, it's not going away. And it is becoming even more intense as they get more and more polling, and they are pressuring the campaign and the president's inner circle to really try to take seriously their concerns, that it's not just about the president, but about their political viability in the House and the Senate, maybe even governor's mansion.
These two men are both elderly. Donald Trump is an elderly man who, for whatever reason, was given 9 seconds to take a iconic photo op during an active shooter situation. Weird situation. We'll figure that out one day. But his survival of that and bouncing right back and going right to his convention is being conveyed in the media world as a sign of strength. This current president of the United States is 81 years old and has COVID. Should he be fine in a couple of days, doesn't that convey exactly the same thing? That he's strong enough, older than Trump, to have gotten something that used to really be fatal to people his age. So if he does fine out of it and comes back and is able to do rallies, isn't that exactly the same? I mean, it's not exactly the same. It's not the same incident, but it's an elderly man coming through out of an illness.
This lady is not okay. She is not okay. She is now comparing Trump and Biden in terms of strength, using cough and bullet to compare. You can see I don't know, is it hypocrisy or is that she's too stupid not to understand anything?
Let me explain to you.
Where conservatives can say anything.
No, I'm not a conservative.
They can have any conspiracy theory.
I'm not a conservative.
They can have any plot. They can do any things, and then liberals are supposed to sit here and be like, "Oh my God, it's so tragic."
No, Destiny.
Absolutely not.
Let me explain.
Absolutely.
Let me explain my position because I'm not a conservative. I'm not on either side in your race, right? Here's what I think about what you did. You'd like to fire off, as you've done so far in this debate, about your fury at how disgusting Republicans are, how inhumane they are, how they never have any empathy, blah, 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 blah. And then you yourself actually are exactly the person that you're describing. You are inhuman. You are somebody who seems almost gleeful that a young firefighter with a family, with a wife and children, who he was protecting as he was shot dead, that he deserved what was coming to him because he went to a President Trump rally, a man who was president of the United States until recently for 4 years and maybe again. You sound almost gleeful, Destin, and I'm sorry. That makes you, frankly, despicable.
Yes, I was saying it clearly. I'm praying that Biden should recover from this. He should bounce back and continue his campaign. I'm wishing him well. Now going back to talk about strength, people are even crazy to bring this as a topic of discussion. Yes, someone said Joe Biden is using his new COVID diagnosis to plan his dropout of the US presidential race. But I'm more concerned with this issue. He has been tested positive, but how many times? Considering the number of boosters he has taken. If you look deep into it, a new post came out today where they made it clear like Biden is now considering to drop out. A question surfaced to him during an interview. He said the only thing that can make him to drop out if he's diagnosed with some kind of, and a day after this is coming. It has raised questions on social media. Could this be the end for Biden? Even the Trump campaign agreed for the vice presidential debate. Along the way, they had to, delete everything. Like, we don't know who is the vice president here now because it is not official. If we are allowing a Republican vice president to debate Kamala Harris, who is Kamala Harris at this time? Because we don't know. So we should wait, and which is a very good decision they took not to go into this debate. When I saw it, it was a brilliant move.
That I have on that.
And finally, new rules.
If you look at the moment that you heard that
Campaign new.
Success is unifying.
After this near-death experience,
Than unelected bureaucrats who wield that power today. So both those could be ways to take that Trump evangelist back in 2016.